Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to welcome you at the specialized conference, C for Kids, C for Children. So we will speak about the development of education in the river and sea transportation area. This is what we're going to speak about today. About the role of coordination of the River and Sea Agency, and about the prospects of its development in the in different regions of Russia. And we will speak about what else can be done to make improvements in this area. And prospects about and prospects of UNARMIA, of what they can do in this regard. And now let me introduce the presidium of our conference. Head of the agency will join us later, Tsvetkov Yuri Alexandrovich. The deputy of the agency, Mr. Tarasenko Andrei Vladimirovich. The president of the All Russian Foundation, Michael Petrovich Nenashev, president of the Veterans Committee of the River and Sea Fleet, Mr. Antonich, head of General Shipbuilding Corporation, Oksana Goncharova, General Manager, All Russian Center of Artistic Creativity. I'm one of the people in charge of the development of education and science. First of all, I would like to give the floor to General Manager of the Education Center New Wave, Kazanov Andrei Valerievich. Over to you, please. Good afternoon, dear forum participants. I'm very glad to speak in front of this audience. I see a lot of cadets here. A lot of people who are going to devote their life to sea. And I will say a few words about our initiative, which is called Sun Boat Race. And it started to it all started a few years ago. So this boat race, this regatta, is a competition that is directed to building boats which is powered by solar power boats. And our non-commercial organization, the National Center of Engineering Competitions. So we've been doing it since 2014. Our main mission is to, when you join the transportation area, you start to use different means of transportation. So you should think about what trace you are making in the environment, and the internal combustion engine is becoming obsolete. We are making a transfer to new engines, and I will show you how it can be done. So we are making hybrid engines, electric engines more popular. Currently, there are 24 regions of Russia that are participating in our project, all the way from Kaliningrad to Vladivostok. And part of these teams have been taken to international competitions. And this year, we went to Germany, and one of the teams, we will give them an award, so they were one of the winners of an international competition. What makes this program so special? When we say competition, you may get an impression that you just come to this competition, get on a boat and win. It's not like that. In order to win, you have to do it yourself with your own hands first. So first you do theory, you get some knowledge about shipbuilding, about renewable energy, how it all comes together. And then you have over 80% of the hours is given to practical lessons, to practical things. So here you can see how it's all done. Practical tasks, so starting from October to April, they're building a boat on solar batteries, and then they can participate in competitions on this boat. We also have 3D modeling here, and we have composite materials. We started to create self-driven boats. We have 10 boats in Veliki Novgorod and in Khabarovsk, just the same, self-driven, self-propelled boats. Well, the program, we've worked on this for a long time. So here we need teachers because our lessons, our team lessons, and of course it takes a lot of time to work with these guys, so we are trying to construct to make it as convenient for them as possible. And the final stage is when all of the students have built their boat, did a test, and so that the test is final, and they realize that they can get into competitions, and they always want to win. So if there are no such competitions, then nobody would ever see this. Starting from 2014, we've done this in different areas in Kazan. Last year we did it in Grozny. So you can join. You can join us in Kazan next year. I will say a couple of words here about how important is to have a pragmatic approach, because when a person reads a certain book, or reads a certain lecture, then he holds not more than 10% of this information. But when a person does it with his own hands, then these tasks, these lessons, this information is retained very well by the brain. And when we work with the students, we don't limit themselves in any way in either selecting materials or anything else, so that they use this environment-friendly approach, regardless of what they do, because whatever we do, it leaves a trace on the nature. And we are proud of the people who have managed to make new achievements. Silicon carbide. There are people who have gone into robototechnics, and they are in real business now. So I will say a few words about what we've done. So we are targeted towards energy more. We see doubts very often. We very often say that we get very little sunshine in Russia. But in fact, some they say that we have a green area here in Russia, like a green zone. It's not exactly correct, because we see the sun on a horizontal plane. The angle of sun rays is changing, and we have the sun here, and just as if we were near equator. The only question is that we get this sunshine, and our trees do this very well. They don't say, no sunshine, we're moving to Africa. No. They have an efficient system, and they grow well. So we decided to build a ship that can go all the way from one end of Russia to the other. 11 meters long, 5.5 meters wide. We decided to have, as big of a solar panel as possible. We started from St. Petersburg on May 19th. Then we came back to Ladoga. Then we came to Chernipovets. Then we returned to Moscow. And then along the Oka and the Volga, we went all the way to Astrakhan. It was about 6,000 kilometers. So we went through different rivers, and we did research, which I will tell you about a little later. I would like to point out an important thing here, that for 90% of the time here, this ship was constructed in St. Petersburg. The batteries we got from Novosibirsk. So the solar panels we got from Novocheboksarsk. The electronics we got from Moscow. So all of the components were domestic. No matter what they say, we have components and we can make them inside Russia. The only problem we had was with the engine. We had to. So we started from Veliky Novgorod, and then we went through 20 regions of Russia. We did 14 festivals. We did shows. We used our ship. And so many people were able to get on board and, see what it was really like. Different cadets, students. The crew was 8 people, 4 rooms, and every 2 to 3 weeks, the crew was changed. So here, I would like to thank our partners for, helping us, Rosmorech Flot, the University of River and Sea Fleet named after Makarov, those organizers that helped us, and we had the best cadets that did, scholarship. That did this scholarship with us. So the main point was to show that there is enough sunlight from St. Petersburg all the way to Astrakhan. And together with MGIMO, together with Moscow State University, together with the Russian Academy of Sciences, we collected samples of water along the Volga. The Russian Academy of Sciences took pictures of us from above. So we develop geography lessons on the basis of these data. And we have other partners, universities. So we would like to thank them a lot for participating in this project too. And the International Space Station, it was difficult for them to see us, but they took a picture of us when they were going over us. Our expedition coincided with the beginning of the decade of water ecology. Was an initiative announced by the United Nations. And we had a special representative from the United Nations. Eugene Valerievich, your time's up. And, well, this is basically it. So, if we had used internal combustion engines, then we would have used a lot of, fuel, a lot of carbon dioxide would have been emitted into the atmosphere, and over 4 hectares of forests would have been needed, for processing this volume of carbon dioxide. These are all of the partners that we worked with, so we would like to thank them. Next year there will be another expedition, so we are open to any suggestions and opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yevgeny. Does anyone from the Presidium or from the forum's guests have any question? If there are no questions, then we can see Mr. Tsvetkov here, and I would like to give the floor to Deputy Minister of Transport, Mr. Yuri Tsvetkov. Dear colleagues, friends, on behalf of the Ministry of Transport of the Russian Federation and the Federal Agency for River and Sea Transport, I'm happy to welcome the guests of the forum, Sea to Kids. Additional education for children is very important. It's all about professional orientation and early career building of kids. Before now, we didn't have any single system. Every institution was based on its own experience and tradition. To improve further development of sea education for children, it was decided to open in St. Petersburg, based on the Russian Agency for River Fleet, to open this center for additional education of children. It's important to note that this center bases its activity on an agreement of cooperation with the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Defense of Russia, and the government of St. Petersburg. I would like to point out two agreements that are of strategical importance. This also concerns the addition of children. Is about the involvement of the shipbuilding industry in children's education. Of the same importance is cooperation with the Movement Youth Army. This concerns further improvement of the sea movement and further education of children in the sea activities, in the maritime activities. Furthermore, a Patriot National Movement Youth Army was opened at Great Petersburg for additional education of children of Russia in the regions. Our goal is discussing the best practices of additional education for children, as well as creating various areas for our center as a platform for additional education of children. This regards the contest of children in ship modeling, sea and river navigation. Thank you very much, Yuri. We will start the awards ceremony right now. The nomination, the best program for maritime preparation in educational program for children at school. The third place, Sergei Kostin. Further education program, Jan Saylor. The center, Moricod. The second place, Vera Gorbacheva. Further educational program for PE and comprehensive lessons, service to the motherland. The first place, Mikhail Glazachev, educational program, the School of Bravery and Excellency under Sales, the Caravella Center. Nomination, the best methods of patriotic education, sea traditions the second place, Nadezhda Moskalenko. The first place goes to Alexei Neiberg, the St. Petersburg Historical and Patriotic Competition, Seamen Servicing the Motherland, the Sinavin School. The nomination, the best methods of conducting a sea event with children, Olga Yakovleva, the Youth Festival, Sea Yalta, Crimea. Dear colleagues, congratulations to everyone who has been awarded, and I hope you further creative successes. Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, now that all the next presentations will have slides, and I'm sure that many of you have questions, so I would ask you to stick to the schedule. 6 minutes for each presentation and 3 minutes for the Q&A session to each. One of the topics of our conferences is the prospects of sea and maritime education as part of the Youth Army movement. And I would like to give the floor to Ms. Slesarenko, who is an important member of the Youth Army movement. You have the floor. Good afternoon, dear Yuri, dear colleagues. Today, the Youth Army movement has more than 272,000 young people in its ranks. We have a lot of different events which make our movement even more popular. We have signed an agreement of cooperation with various authorities of Russia, as well as the largest companies in the defense sector. Right now, the Youth Army movement is a leader in education in this area, and we would like to improve our quality even further. Right now, we have different activities concerning different kinds of military forces of Russia. One of our priorities is to create positive motivation among children with respect to serving in the army, in the military fleet, and receiving education in various military and civil universities of Russia. We've already taken the first steps. We've signed an agreement with the Agency for River Transport. We have already seen some progress. We have winners of specific contests which undergo special education based on our centers. We have partners such as the Russian fleet, and they organize conferences among those who have won competitions, and this is where they can improve their maritime skills. Next year, in the Arctic Vocational Camp for Kids, there will be the Caravella event where young sailors will actually build a boat from scratch. We also have designed the first amphibian bus in Russia. This is what it looks like, and we hope that in 2019 the Youth Army movement members will be able to conquer the Moscow River area. And We also pay great attention to the bringing up and education of young people. Our children visit various sites such as historical and patriotic museums, various military and naval institutions. The children get familiarized with the history of the fleet and various naval traditions. We also sign agreements with various military museums of Russia. For example, the children from St. Petersburg go to the St. Petersburg Military Museum, and those in the Far East can visit the Vladivostok Military Museum. Our cadets play an important role in the anniversary of the Russian fleet in Russia. Our young sailors had a special parade in beautiful uniforms in various locations of Russia. Youth Army movement members do a lot of sports which are important for navigation. For example, they study the construction of boats and ships. They participate in various regattas, and they participate in ship modeling activities. St. Petersburg is currently implementing the ship project or Korabli project, that is about ship modeling in various St. Petersburg shipyards. We have positive experience of attracting money for our special projects such as the Sea Haven project, which is also one of the events planned for 2019 for the Youth Army movement. We are following the Russian policy of fleet development in Russia. We conduct various activities in the Astrakhan region, in St. Petersburg and the Leningrad region, the Orenburg region, and there are other regions that we cover as well. The Youth Army movement believes that it is important to develop the sea and maritime focus within its ranks. And Mr. Vladimir Kovalenko, who is an expert in the maritime area and has a relevant experience, is going to lead these activities. The most experienced experts in maritime activities and shipbuilding will be involved. Our maritime department will include various naval crews based on the cadets of various military schools and sports organizations. To develop this area further, our movement will be supported by the Ministry of Defense of Russia, its sea fleet, various military institutions of the Ministry of Defense, as well as the Ministry of Education and Higher Education and Science. Of course, we expect to further cooperate with various government agencies, with the Russian Fishing Agency and various security agencies of Russia, as well as with the National Guard of Russia and the Fleet Support Movement. We are also planning to cooperate with the Shipbuilding Corporation and various other sea and fleet organizations. On the 2nd of November 2018, the Youth Army movement suggested creating a working group involving all the relevant ministries and agencies. This systematic involvement of the Youth Army movement is going to develop the general Russian maritime development doctrine, and it will improve Russia's position and prestige in the sea. It will further uphold the status of Russia as a great sea power. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Yelena. Any questions? Yelena Vladimirovna, I am Mikhail Ninashev. I am chairman of the Fleet Support Movement, and you've just said that we are ready to work with you as an organization. And Yelena, I will tell you in advance that I like you. Well, thank you. Question. But no, guys, you can see that the head of staff is a young lady at this army movement. But at our previous conference, which was also dedicated to working with the youth, with children, we mentioned that the concept itself is not comprehensive enough because your organization is called Youth Army and we represent the fleet. So what if we amend this name at the next conference? You should be called Youth Army and Fleet probably. Now that you are the Youth Army and we are the fleet, so the name should be changed probably. And we've also discussed at the previous conference together with representatives from various universities. Well, you can see at the symbols, and your symbols are those of the land army. And if you would like the fleet to consider this movement as its own, then the name should combine all the aspects of the forces. So there should be both land and sea forces. I would just like to tell you that I was a seaman, and when I went to the ship, I was asked to change my footwear because ship sailors have special footwear. So there are a lot of differences in the footwear, in the clothes, in the uniform. So indeed, your name and all these symbols should reflect that your activities concern both the land forces and the fleet. I would emphasize once again that I like you. Thank you for your question. On the 2nd of November, we had a meeting of our chief headquarters, and we considered the establishment of a special fleet department. And one of our leaders insisted on creating this special department. Today, to resolve this issue, which is of an urgent nature, as you rightly said, we are creating this group in order to involve all the departments and all the parts of the Russian army and fleet. So I suggest that you send some of the employees to us, and I suggest that all of you, dear colleagues, get involved in this issue, because today we have the army, we have the fleet. Of course, they are all important, and of course we have certain traditions at the Youth Army movement. We are ready to cooperate with you. We are ready to develop. So let's find a constructive approach and find an appropriate solution. Thank you for your question. Thank you very much, Yelena. And as I was preparing for this conference today, our first deputy, I will just tell you that I am the deputy of the headquarters. And we also have Mr. Romanenko, who is the first deputy of our organization. And we also have General Viktor Buslovsky, who recommended that I get in touch with you and establish some personal contact. So thank you very much for your interest. Thank you. Are there any questions, any suggestions? Now pass the mic, please. The question is off the mic. Please speak into the microphone. I represent this Stupino Sailors Organization. We are a non-standard organization which has been around for 16 years. We have all the possible awards except for probably the award from the Pope. And we would like to ask you the following. We just have a ship, but unfortunately we don't have enough funding right now to equip this ship appropriately. So I understand that it's very important to have different kinds of training, parades, but we don't have enough funding for our own activities. 7 people on our staff have government awards, and about 700 people have been educated by our organization over the past years. And that's it for me. First of all, thank you very much for the work that you've been doing locally. And for your information. Today we are about to complete our plan for the funding in 2018 and 2019, and we ask our heads of departments to start collaborating locally, and we will include various events in our central plan, and we will include the regional events in that plan. We will be able to involve all the resources we currently have. So if you have worthy, serious projects that you think can be included in the Youth Army Year plan, then send those plans to us and we will consider those projects. Thank you very much. Thank you. Other questions? Thank you, Yelena. Thank you. One of the topics of our conferences is the patriotic education and upbringing of children and the youth. And one important issue here is studying the history of our country. And I would like to invite Mr. Sergei Sobolev with a presentation on the popularization of the fleet history among children. You have 6 minutes. You have the floor. Thank you very much. My name is Sergei Sobolev. I represent the Russian Military and Historical Society. And right now I am the leader of the Civilian Patriotic section. And I will tell you about the history of the fleet, how it is being popularized among children and the youth. We have this Russian Military Society and Historical Society, and we read lectures and we have different events within which we try to teach children and the youth patriotism, morality. We try to share those deep values that connect our whole history, that are important for our citizens, for our people. We give lectures on fleet history, on military history. We read a lot of lectures on World War I, on World War II, the Great Patriotic War of the Soviet Union. We also arrange additional lessons and optional lessons and courses. Sometimes we read lectures at our place in Vavilova or sometimes at different locations. And this is where we tell stories about how Russia fought for its independence, for its sovereignty. So what's the difference between this historical optional course and the usual lectures? We have a special annual curriculum, and when one cycle of lectures is over, our students write special blogs or websites, and sometimes when adults try to bring something across to the children, there is some resistance. It's not so easy. And I'll give you one example. Let's take one song which says, "Goodbye, the Rock Mountains." And there's the other Russian song, "Feduk, I smoked the pipe." So it's Russian patriotic songs. And I'm trying to get across this feeling of patriotism. But the younger generation sees it in a slightly different way. And different performers get several 100,000 views. And Mr. Feduk got 24 million views. And what are the values there? First, he just uses some Auchan shopping carriage, and then it is replaced with beautiful and rich cars, and there are some beautiful girls in the swimming suits, and this is what young people see. But we try to get our values across, to share our values with the younger generation, because these are the values that adults need. We have a lot of awards, certificates. What are the forms of our activities? Today we are here, and recently we had a special event in the Russian Academy of Water Transport. I made a presentation there on the history of the Russian non-military fleet, from the Slav people to the Russian Revolution. My colleague made a different presentation on various military ships. There were a lot of videos. It was quite interesting, and it was a lively discussion with an interactive contact with the audience. And we found out later we got positive feedback from our audience. So we talk a lot to young cadets, to the Youth Army Movement members, where have special activities there. For example, we had an activity in the Patriot Park, where a group of our historians got some children in our cars, and we showed them some very interesting sites with tours about various historical moments of Russia. We cooperate with various universities. For example, recently we organized a tour regarding the Stalingrad battle. We have cooperation with a lot of historical universities. Today we have this Sea to the Kids platform, but we work a lot with the Navy officers, with various patriotic movements. What's the uniqueness of our approaches? I would like to tell you that a patriotic historian is an important contribution to the nation. I would like to tell you that finding a patriotic historian is very difficult today. A democratic or a liberal historian, a communist historian, you can find them everywhere. But it's difficult to find a patriotic historian. We face a lot of criticism, but we are still struggling. For example, we cooperate with teachers of the military university, and together with them, we developed certain values that should be part of every lecture, but in an unremarkable way. because the lectures should tell us about patriotism, about the professional honor, about some sacred values. And there is a proper understanding of what we should include in those lectures. For example, I read lectures on the great deeds of the Soviet soldier. And we need to understand that Soviet soldiers are different from the Japanese soldiers, the American soldiers, and so on. What were the differences between the Soviet soldiers and the Japanese soldiers in World War II? And patriotism is a special value which reflects one's connection to one's nation. If this is part of you, like your head, like an arm, you understand that you need to protect this, to defend this. So this issue of patriotism and great deeds is something that requires studies. And we would like to show that it's one thing to read such a lecture to a 10-year-old child, to a 17-year-old child, to an adult. And recently I asked some girls, what would touch you, which division went where or not? And they said, no, the most touching thing is what they wore, what they ate. And when they listened to this part of the lecture, they even liked the part about the tanks.
Сериала, да, в обязательном порядке. То есть если
If we use nice pictures and videos, then it looks different. And, continuous communication also helps, especially if we speak about college students. Your time is running out. Okay, I'm almost done here. And what we're getting as a result is that national pride, love for the homeland, this is what I put an emphasis to. So a sailor needs to have respect and for his homeland. Thank you very much. Please ask your questions. No questions. The next speaker is Dyakov Vladimir Ivanovich. He will speak about new areas in professional education with regard to maritime industry. The Navy, the fleet, have always been associated with high technologies. As of today, what's important is to attract the young into the professional area. So we are one of the most innovative links. We are trying to develop professional competences in teenagers, the competences for the future. And we need to form a stable community for digitalization, for robototechnics. We have a robototechnics center. So we've created a few self-propelled ships, and we represented them in international conferences this year. I think that this is one of the best competitions. And next year, hopefully we will win this award. I hope that the organizers will support us. Here we have a smaller vessel, a CI. It was represented. It was presented in India, and we took second place there in fierce competition. We presented another vessel, EcoBot. It can be scaled up and scaled down. It also received an award in Indonesia. It's an autonomous, self-propelled system for the monitoring of the world ocean. And what it does is it consumes solar energy. And in the international exhibition, it received a Grand Prix and an award in the amount of $10,000. I would like to show a video on how to create a micro satellite. Please start the video.
Идея включает в себя создание группировки микроспутников первого поколения, которые может быть там 30, 40, 50.
30, 40, 50, the price is fairly small. So if the satellite is lost, then it doesn't influence a business project, and it can be launched into space.
Все это делалось руками детей, которые
It was done with the hands of children,
программировали, в том числе применялись технологии
and
нейропилотирования.
the technologies of neuropiloting were used there.
Сейчас гарнитуры как раз нейропилотирования. Автономность не ограничена. Районы плавания тоже.
The areas are not limited, so they can also be scaled.
И, кстати, дети придумали алгоритм, который когда
And the children have invented an algorithm. Sailors know what the perfect storm is when it's not possible to fight the tempest. So it just comes afloat until it's possible to set sails again. And Indonesia, the jury unanimously gave an award to this model. Critical angles when you go from one side to another. It's familiar to seamen. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Vladimir Ivanovich. And I'm glad that they reach these heights. How many children do you have enrolled? 750.
И за счет бюджета, я еще про просто, я представляю муниципальный бюджет учреждений дополнительного образования. Эффективно занимается
We have 550 children. And I hope that we will make it happen. So it's a municipal budget of Nizhny Novgorod. So we are the ancestor of Nizhny Novgorod steamship fleet. And now we have a municipal budgetary institution. Do they do you get help from other municipal agencies there? No, we don't. Because you're preparing young children to become seamen. We have a virtual shipbuilding plant. They don't have it in Krasnaya Sarmova, but because we have a college there, so we can also, help you with this. Any more questions? No more questions? Okay, thank you very much, Vladimir Ivanovich. This year, the Sea Federal Institution, my port, Rosmor Port, is the organizer, did an initiative on the development of education in Artek and Erlonek. So we are planning to sign a contract with the All-Russian Ocean Ocean Research Center. And I would like to now I would like to invite Rybkin Gerald Geraldovich to tell us about their initiatives. Took us 9 hours to get here, and we are all working in the same respect. Our center was set up for developing future employees, future seamen. It is located on the shore of the Ussurisk Bay, and the length of the shoreline is over 1.5 kilometers. We have accommodation for the students there, modern infrastructure, gyms, fitness center, ice hockey center, 6 open quadrodrome and a rope park. But the most important resource is flora and fauna. The development of the far east of the country. Vladivostok is the pride of the Pacific Fleet. And in the All-Russian Center for Children Development, a new center for children was opened. And its main goal was to bring up the children in a good patriotic way. But as practice has shown, It has become demanded not only by the participants that have been interested in this, but also new people got interested. So everyone becomes a sailor and they become a crew. There are crew members there, teachers, and they received a document, a certificate that supported the fact that they have successfully completed their education. There are large, student crews, so it's only starting its long way in the ocean of pedagogical dreams. Future sea wolves, future experts, future sea masters. They are developing general educational programs, Sea Brotherhood, congregation of young sailors. 68 subjects of the Russian Federation participated. So we admitted 1,600 people there. So the network helps us to expand our area of specialization. We have the Vladivostok Sea Congregation, Riptos, Moscow State Institute, named after Nevelskoy, and the Roscosmos State Corporation. Another program will be realized called Sea Start. So we are doing it for the first time. And we are we're doing diving courses, tours of different ships of the Pacific Fleet, 2 days on the Pallada boat, going into the ocean. We did a multi-type event. We're making a roadmap, and we will cooperate with the Hope, with the Nadezhda sailing boat. And we strengthened the ties among all of these. So all of these will help Russia to so the only way we have is to go forward, is to go ahead. Dear colleagues, any questions? What I would like to say is that we have a director of the center, Zeus Orleanek, and Artek, and the ocean, Orleanek and Artek, Chersones. We have 2 sailboats there, Pallada and Nadezhda. As far as I know, when you had the 100 years anniversary, the 2 sailing boats went there, and it was interesting for children to see how the sailors did their practical training there. There were sailors there, and cadets from the Nevelskoy Institute. So they can always come and help you. You know, look at how many cadets we have. Well, I understand that it's not very interesting for them. They want to escape because they are not children anymore. Well, I know that we are friends with Nadezhda. We're making a roadmap with them. And the project that we did in July, the people were really satisfied. They went through Nadezhda, they made friends with the guys, and they did a large concert together. And I think that, we're doing a long roadmap on cooperation with them. Another thing that I would like to speak about is that we invited cadets, so you're no longer children, you're our assistants. You're helping us to, bring up more people to wear the same uniform as you do. So I hope that, Yunarmia and it's, only good if you go and speak with those people to create this C family. And the pioneer camps are also on the same way. So don't hesitate, ask questions, change your style of communication if necessary. Lessons for kids need to be practically oriented. Because you are future children. Only you can support sea fleet and river fleet. As far as I know, Rosmor Port attracted many cadets who helped them to repair the Knyaz Vladimir ship. They built the Olympic port of Sochi, the cruise harbor. So I remember how they said goodbye to Knyaz Vladimir, and they were very tired when they were on the masts. So it's a lot of labor, really. And when they see the result of their labor, it's really nice. You just showed us how they created a model that doesn't have, any analogs, and it's very good that they do it. Thank you. Any other questions? No more questions. Okay, thank you. In 2018, the system we got 18 new organizations as regional representatives, and now we're going to have our next speaker, the director of the C Center Caravella, Mikhail Alexandrovich Glazechev. The floor is yours. Good afternoon, dear colleagues, Good afternoon, dear conference participants. I would like to speak about the experience of our mutual work. We represent the Siberian representative office. So we did a lot of events with the Siberian University, starting from the C multi-type competitions. We did tours. We participated in exhibitions. Although Novosibirsk is in the center of the country and it's far away from the seaside, we have a large river. We have a water reservoir there, and we have over 10 clubs of future sailors, future seamen. So I would like to focus your attention on our plans for the next year. One of the key areas when we work with young sailors is preparing for the future navigation. We have small boats, we have steamships, and the students learn how to prepare their ships for future navigation so that they know how to use it well.
Those trips that we do on boats differ in terms of time, distance. This year it was just a small trip of 105 kilometers. Sometimes we have 500-kilometer trips. And we believe that with the support of Rosmorech Float and various universities, we can actually make a trip to Salihard. And I hope this is feasible. The experience of our agency shows that it is quite possible that our students have already done such trips. Furthermore, we have special practical events on ships. Our students study the design of ships, and the company Rech Float helps us with this. It carries out suburban river transport services. Our students help servicing these ships. They study the navigation situation on the river, and some of them choose river professions as their future career. We also have summer camps, and sometimes on some bays and river reservoirs we organize summer camps, and these are camps where people can really plunge into this experience. They can sail various boats, and they can study this and develop the skills that they gained theoretically in winter. We have a lot of sail practice. We work together with the relevant organizers, and we expect to send our students on special sail boats so that these guys really feel the sea their home. We have already had a 6-week trip via a Chinese port. There are also various gatherings of young sailors. One of the most important one is based on the Artec Center. This is where our young sailors actively participate, and this is really an important event so that various teams can exchange experience, show their skills, and show what they can do already. This year, the Caravella students, cadets, won for the second time a special Pacific Ocean Cup. We, as the Siberian Regional Office of more rich floats, and believe that we can use all this support. You can see the boats that we use, and we hope that we will increase their number, because in 2019 we expect to have about 190 people, students who will gain experience. This is why we really need those boats and ships. We also have some special offers and proposals, and of course it's very important that agencies communicate with each other and collaborate. I am talking about the Ministry of Education, the other profile organizations, and I believe that various regional organizations should have special councils involving key players in the industry. And I believe that this will really help us improve the quality of our practice, and we will be better prepared for that. And then all our young sailors will be able to say that the wind is really blowing into their sails. Thank you very much. Any questions to Mikhail? Question. Mikhail, you are still lieutenant, but, well, I know that the director of the academy really praises you. Everyone is very glad and very happy with your performance. Maybe we should give you a colonel's rank, or maybe you give you have too much criticism. This is why you are not given this rank. Well, actually, right now there is a commission which is going to discuss this. So I hope that this will be resolved till the new year. Well, we'll help you with this. Good luck. Thank you. Thank you. The next presentation. Unfortunately, Tatiana Chikalova is not present here. She couldn't come here. But of course, we should give the floor to someone from St. Petersburg, which is the sea capital of Russia. And we are going to run this small video. St. Petersburg was founded by Peter the Great as a window to Europe. Right now, it's a city which develops successfully various maritime activities, such as science, shipbuilding, sea and river transportation. Those sea traditions are preserved by the Sea Council under the St. Petersburg government. It includes different commissions which are in charge of the educational policy. There's also a commission which cooperates with the media. And those commissions include various plans on the agenda of the Maritime Council. The patriotic upbringing and education is also part of the program, and the program is named the Youth Program, the Sea Legacy of Peter the Great. Peter the Great got a patent of a shipbuilder in Holland in 1698, and there is a monument to Peter the Great. So the whole ceremony starts here. Various officers and officials, as well as students and cadets, come here, and they get various awards. This is the Shipbuilder's X, which shows that the shipbuilder is really outstanding. It is the recognition of their skills. One of the key parts of the program is the historical and patriotic competition, which reflects various honorable traditions of the Russian Navy fleet. There are a lot of creative contests among students, children, and various organizations conduct theme tours. There are meetings with Navy veterans. There are tours around memorial places. A lot of children provide creative work that is part of the competition, and there are special awards at the traditional festival, which is called the Legacy of Maritime Glory. The annual International Cinema Festival, the Sea Calls You, is one of the most important parts of the program. This is among the crucial and pivotal parts of the national agenda. It brings together journalists from more than 20 countries of the world. Every year, some new films are presented here. This Sea Calls Festival is really aimed at popularizing the sea theme and patriotic attitude. The popularization of the rowing sports. This is a very important regatta where students of the Leningrad Shipbuilding Institute participate. There are also national and international teams, such as young sailors and members of various patriotic movements. This regatta has also become international. The 9th of May, the Victory Parade, dedicated to the deeds of the Baltic Sea sailors. The St. Petersburg youth remembers those who sacrificed their life during World War II. Nakhimov Institute and St. Petersburg University students participate in this event. The Morfest Festival, a very important festival for the Russian youth. One of the priorities of this festival and the slogan of the festival, all flags should come to us. It is supported by the National Education Foundation and representatives of Russia's maritime youth participate there. Thank you very much. A round of applause to St. Petersburg, please. To conclude, I would like to invite Director of the Maritime Resource Center for Further Education of Children, Mr. Berezkin, who will report on the activities of the center in 2018 and share their plans for 2019. You have the floor. Thank you very much. I'm happy to welcome our Presidium and this conference. A year ago, we mentioned those topics that should be the focus of our attention. As you already heard, this center was created on the basis of the Makarov Sea Fleet Academy in 2017. Right now, I have this opportunity to report on what we did throughout this year, what are the major issues and challenges, and most importantly, I would like to thank the organizers of this event, because it's really great to make a presentation at this very distinguished forum. And thank you very much. Let us give a round of applause to those who organized this conference. Talking about the topic of my presentation, One important thing is that our center, which operates in St. Petersburg, uses the support from the Federal Agency of Sea and River Transport. This is how it could create a network of offices which collaborate with various educational institutions and federal agencies. You can see that we have our network almost across the entire Russia. It will grow and it will keep growing. This is one of our achievements. Another important achievement, this is just the initial stage, of course, but thanks to your support and involvement, we have this website, the Young Sailors of Russia. And this website already contains the news, various information, various guidelines on education of our students. And this website, as we believe, is a convenient and useful platform to bring the news across, to share information on what's happening in different places of Russia. And it's also about exchanging experience, because we had a lot of presentations from our participants here today. And you can see that a lot of people have unique capabilities. And we try to share and roll out those best practices and to show everyone what we have achieved in order not to reinvent the wheel. So this is why I would like to ask everyone here who deals with this topic, and I think this is almost every one of you, I would like to ask you to use this website. We also had other things in the previous presentations. There are a lot of sports activities. There are a lot of shipping events. You can see that both big ships and yachts and sailboats are used, even rowing boats. And of course, competition is also interesting for young people. I'll give you some examples. That's what we do in St. Petersburg, and there are a lot of participants. This is the regatta in St. Petersburg, which was already mentioned here. There are a lot of other activities in St. Petersburg. There are sports festivals that include the yacht competition, the regatta. There's also another competition which is called the Sea Mile. It's also very attractive. And I would like to tell you that in many places there are a lot of events which are dedicated to Russian history as a whole and to specific events in Russian history. And it's great that we have a coordination council under the Ministry of Transport of Russia, which has already approved its program for 2019. And it's great that the second session, which will take place in 2019 in May, will consider various areas of patriotic upbringing of people, of students. This initiative was started by Peter the Great in the 17th century. And it's really great that a young man or a young lady made some kind of boat with their own hands. And this is what further guides their career, what brings them into this industry. And it is those young boys and girls who are highly motivated, who reach the top of their profession. It's an open secret that some young people who come to our universities are not really motivated. They are a bit misled. And we are trying to motivate so that more motivated young students enter our universities. I would also like to mention the fact that cooperation between different agencies is not a simple matter. We are not collaborating in all the areas with different agencies so far. Of course, we have a proper cooperation with the shipbuilding corporation, with other organizations. We have our own network, and we are also part of the network that has been organized based on the Nakhimov College. You know very well that we have branches in Murmansk in the Far East, which is why some of the elements are used by us. Some of the tours, for example, are a great initiative, and this is also about collaboration between various agencies, even though we have our own excursions and tours and trips. And a lot of big ships are also navigated by young students. Rosmorich Flot also commissioned us to have special events in the Orleanok summer camp. That's really very, very interesting for children. Seeing those sailboats, or for example, in the Arctic, there was a special sailboat, and there were tours which were of particular interest. And the team made a great job here. Thank you very much. And it's great that you were also involved in this program, EcoWave. Our students also participated there, and thanks to that program, the entire country heard about this maritime initiative. We also did a number of publications. These are various regulations, various guidelines that are placed on our website, and this is the contest that has been completed right now, and all the children were awarded. We are going to place the best work on our website, and after this contest we will have some more material so that you can get familiarized with them. These are our key partners. I already mentioned Artek and Orleanok. There have been a lot of special maritime aspects. For example, there was the Artek Cup, and I really hope that we will continue cooperating with this ocean organization. And in 2019, we will also have the year of children's tourism in Russia. I believe that we should take this thing into account and prepare further remarkable programs and projects. To conclude, there are some plans for cooperating in 2019, and I hope that you will support the areas that we have and add something new so that we can reflect all those initiatives in the resolution to this conference, and that will help us in 2019. Thank you very much.
Any questions, dear colleagues? No questions. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have an interesting live discussion, and it confirms once again that it's a very topical issue. And now I would like to give the floor to the deputy head of the Federal River Transportation, Tarasenko Andrei Vladimirovich. Thank you. We have interest. We have an interest to develop our young followers. All of us take turns. We need to prepare the new generation. This is our mission. And we need to do this together. The first year, then the second year, but every year we bring them up. Some people become older,
палочку ловить, а наоборот еще совершенствовать и сделать так, чтобы
but he cannot, but you cannot, drop this stick.
помощи давать детям и не упустить, понимать, что мы не были такие. Флот, он всегда славился
The fleet
тем, что на флоте идут умные, красивые,
has always, taken up the clever, the young, and the best. And we need to prepare these people starting from the first grade. Thank you very much, Andrei Vladimirovich. I would like to give the floor to the chairman of the Fleet Support Course. Dear Andrei Vladimirovich, dear participants of the All-Russian Young Conference, I was present at the first meeting. For 27 years, our task has been to combine the efforts, and so what am I interested in? A few things. Aggressiveness among the young. We see a lot of horrible things. When they desecrate the eternal fire or the national flag. I looked at the at the news, and it's like a paradox. We create more and more institutions, but the results So we have a lot of people here who support me, and they say, Mikhail Borisovich, speak with us. So just say it. But they are closing a school in the center of Moscow, the School of Navigation, and in St. Petersburg, all of the bays are. The oldest club is being shut down. The only well, the call is C is calling us. But what do we call it? Sea. But how about a river? How about a lake? We need to be proud of it. And Andrei Vladimirovich, under your management, we have the main conference here. So and they distribute money, positions. They can replace the naval managers and leave those from the military forces. and it will always be about concepts. So if you think in the wrong way, then you will do the wrong things. So I would like to thank the heads of our institutions. I see the presidents of our institutions so we see a very, very organized system for working with the young. It's an example for all the other networks. So we've overcome different problems, but we're moving ahead on the whole. So it's a task for the future. You will ask me, Mikhail Borisovich, what can unite all of us? Because there is an institution, there is a club of young sailors, and that should be enough. Let's create money. No boats, but that's what they just spoke about. No infrastructure. Well, they found money for the Patriot Park. Where is patriotism? And where is the 100 million that was spent on the park? You know, it should have been spent differently. So all of us what we can do is open the navigation I mean, they can do races on the Thames. So that all of the regions come together. There are viewers. Well, I'm rounding up. This is the first thing. This is what's easy. But so that all of the regions, all of the people from the region come together. Russia is a geopolitical country. There will be 200 years for the opening of the Antarctic. In 2019 and 2020, you know, after the war with Napoleon, they started to open the Antarctic. Well, let's write compositions, you know, let's do tests, so that we energize money. The Antarctic, the river, the sea is what's inside the country. The Antarctica is geopolitics. Dear friends, I would like to call on you. You know, the 90 years of Pikul is coming to an end. The year of Viktor Viktorovich Kanetsky is coming to an end. There are no writers of such kind, no poets, no musicians. So let's stimulate this. But it will help us to move ahead. Thank you for your work. So let's come together and move ahead. Thank you very much, Mikhail Petrovich. There will be another event. Now I would like to give the floor to Mikhail Yuri Alexandrovich. Thank you very much. Dear participants of our today's event, this is the second time I'm taking part in this event. So I would like to thank the Federal Transportation Agency a lot. I would like to thank the organizers. I would like to thank all of you for sharing their experiences. So, because the profession of the sailor is very difficult. Because it takes a lot of professional knowledge. Only the professional needs to save his own life. And a sailor is far away from the family, from the children, not 1 year, not just 1 day, but for 6 months when he's in an ironclad, in an ironclad cabin. It's a very difficult labor, and it is very pleasant that we're doing this wonderful work with young people. And the young people are very, very interesting. So if we compare the period that we lived in, of course, today's guys are smarter, are more intelligent, more well-read, and it's all well and good. It is very pleasant, it is very astounding that they're doing it. So I hope that all of these schools, well, they're spending money, and the most after they graduate, how many people went to professional education? About 1/2. The other half is going to other areas. But it's good that the person realized that it's not his profession. Well, we are rounding up. I'm speaking about sailors because I've been through all of this. Okay. So, I would like to wish you all the best. I wanted to bring up a few examples of, good upbringing, but just a couple of words. If you want to do upbringing, it doesn't mean, to speak about patriotism from the tribunes. We need specific facts and arguments. All the best. And the Goncharova Oksana Valerievna is finishing. I'll try to be brief. This is the second year that we're doing this work. And I would like to say a few words of gratitude to all those people who are doing this work in Nizhny Novgorod and Novosibirsk and St. Petersburg and other cities. Thank you very much, and I, bow. So this professional attitude, the people starting from the 9th, they've been in Artek, so they are studying shipbuilding there, and they are building a ship. But what I realized that the people have very little knowledge of, the basic school subject areas: physics, chemistry, calculus. So it's a cornerstone for us to turn them into engineers. They need to learn how to get basic knowledge, and they need to come to us. So in the first year, they learn the basics. So we are focusing on helping the guys to do additional training, and this is what we're going to focus on in the upcoming years. And we will do the rest. Thank you very much, Oksana Vladimirovna Goncharova. Very briefly, the uniqueness of this program that we spoke about
совершенно
concerns interdisciplinary education, and this is a program that covers various activities, including the artistic, the creative ones. It's about the design of ships. All those programs are unique and wide range, and I'm really thankful to you for them. And this is something that really adds a lot to current education. Regarding the collaboration between the agencies, it's really great that you are working together so well, and I hope that you will broaden your cooperation even further. Within this industry, it's really great collaborative work. And I'm also thankful to all our partners on behalf of the Ministry of Education. And I am thankful to Mr. Berezkin for our joint festival with nominations Traditional Shipbuilding. And it's also on behalf of the Ministry of Education. So I really hope that your competition, Sea2Kids, will have support, and we can provide this support. We can do this together. So thank you very much, and thank you for your expert opinion. Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, I hope that all your questions have been answered, and we can further discuss various things personally or privately after this session and discuss specific topics. I wish further development to everyone. I hope that you will have great success, and thank you very much, our dear reporters, for your interesting presentation. Now I announce the conference Sea2Kids as closed. And now please kindly free up this hall, because there will be another event here. You can talk to each other on the sidelines of our forum. Thank you very much.